Megan, and this is Tom from Tom Migot Photography.
Hey guys. So, Meg, what did you bring me here for?
Well, Tom, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, shoot.
Every time you take a portrait of me, you use this grey thing, and I would like to know what it does.
Alright, well that grey thing is called a Flashmeter. And what it does is enable me to meter the light and make sure that I get the correct exposure. So I meter the light, get the settings, put it in the camera, and I'm ready to go. I don't need to do a lot of trial and error with the shoot, with pictures, just to get a correct exposure on your face. You want to see how it works?
Yeah.
Alright, okay. So basically this one is a Sekonic L358. I'm going to show you guys. I don't know how much you guys will see it here on the screen because I don't have a screen to show me exactly what I'm showing you. But that's basically how it works. And they're more or less complex flash meter. So I'm not going to bother here explaining you all the fancy stuff that this one does because this is not a review of that product. I just want to explain you how to use it, and what I'm going to tell you today applies to any flash meter that you find out there, whether you spend £300 on it or if you only spend 50 quid or even less, because the old one works just the same. So when we look at a screen, and I'm hoping that it's you guys can read it, we can see the time value here, and it says 200. So that's basically 200ths of a second, which is the sync speed for some cameras. We have the ISO here. We have an ISO button, so if I actually press on it, I can change the ISO value. Well, because I'm going to do portrait, I don't want to crank the ISO. I'm going to use flash. So I'm going to use the ISO 100. And here what you see here, the F is the F value. So, and I've got a button. So when I'm going to press this button and I'm going to trigger the flash, then it's going to tell me exactly what the F value should be on my camera to get a correct exposure. So bear in mind, although we enter the time value, it doesn't matter here because the only light source on your face is basically coming from the flash. And as we've seen, remember the episode we did in the channel where we saw about the role of the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO when you do flash photography? Well, we clearly saw that the only effect of the time value when you do flash photography is to do with the ambient light. So how much of the scene you're going to have lit up and everything that is not lit by the flash. So here we're in the studio, time value doesn't really matter. But there's one tip that I have for you though. There's a lot of people making a mistake, is where to point the flash meter to. You see we have a dome right here, and you can actually retract it on this model. When most of the time you want it out, but if you have different flashes that you want to measure, and you want to make sure that one flash is not going to influence the other flash, then in that case you can retract it and just get one reading at a time. If you have the dome, obviously more light is going to hit the dome and you get more information. But the trick is where to point it to. And a lot of people think that because we're talking about exposure for your camera, they're going to point it directly to your camera. And that is wrong. That is wrong, people. Why? Because it doesn't matter where your camera is. That's not the camera, your light source. The light source is going to be your flashes. So you need to point it towards your flash, the flash that you're going to use. And that's how it works. So, for example, here, I'm not going to keep the flash at that distance. Let me bring it here. And just so you guys can actually see where I'm going to be standing, Megan, you're going to turn around. You can still sit on that wonderful stool. And I'll talk to you guys about this box. I just love it. This case is brilliant. It's a Pelican box. In Europe, we call it Peli. I'll talk to you about that because this is really, really cool. I bought that in the US. So I'm going to be shooting. I'm going to be standing there. But here I want to have my light source is going to be like this. And what I want to do is, I want to measure that light source. Let me just turn it a little bit more, that way. I want to measure the light coming from the flash falling onto your face. So there's no point of pointing it that way. We're going to point it in that direction. So, turn around and point it this way. The thing is, I need to trigger my flash. So how am I going to do this? Well, you guys have seen it before. This is the Yongnuo YN622C TX because I'm a Canon shooter. And that enables me to basically set my flash. So you see I have my first flash, that's going to be flash A right there. And by default, I always set up my flash at 1/4 of the power. Why do I set it up at 1/4 of the power? For two reasons. The first one is, if I set it up to full power, and I always use my flash at full power, if I do this, then my batteries are going to run dry more quicker. The other thing as well is the recycle time. And the recycle time is the time between each shot, each time that you fire your flash. The flash, once it's fired, it actually needs to recycle. It needs to pump some electricity from the battery, recharge itself before it can be used again. And the more power you use, especially when you're on those speed lights, the more power you use, the longer it will take for the flash to recharge itself. It can be 1 or 2 seconds. So if I'm shooting at quarter of a power, and if that works, then the recycle time is going to be better, and I'm saving a little bit on my battery. So I leave it at quarter of a power. The way the softbox works here, my flash is not pointing in that direction, it's pointing to the back. And so that's why I want to have the zoom. For those of you who wonder about the zoom on the flash, I'm setting it up at 35 millimeter. And then that's pretty much it. And it's a manual mode. And if you guys don't know about why I'm shooting manual mode, I invite you to click on the link right now of a video that I've done a few months back, explaining you the differences between manual mode for the flash or TTL. And you'll see why I'm shooting manual always. So I'm going to be able to trigger my flash with this. So I'm just going to come here, positioning the flash meter closer to Megan's face, like if she was facing me over there for the picture, and I press the flash meter, and I trigger my flash. Here it says f4. So it's good because my lens, which is a 70 to 200, I can shoot at f4, but I don't want to shoot at f4. I want to shoot at f5. So I want more power. And how I'm going to do this? Well, I'm actually going to bring the flash closer to me. So roughly here. And I'm hoping that now, being closer, I'm going to reach the f5. So I'll take another reading. And now it says f5. There you go. You see? f5 at 200ths of a second, ISO 100. So now that this is set up, basically I can just put my, stop it. I can just leave my flash meter, I don't need it anymore. Put a trigger on my camera. This is a 5D Mark III. And here, let me show it to you. Hope you guys see it. F4, 200ths of a second, ISO 100. But now we want to be at F5. And let's start shooting. Flipping the cap, and here we go. Beautiful. You guys should see it on the screen. I'm not recording Lightroom right now, so the picture is coming on your screen. This is exactly straight out of the camera. The white balance might not be correct simply because here we're shooting in the theater. We have different spots in the ceiling, and they don't all have the same light, so it might be some effect. Although, that being said, at 200 of a second, I expect that the only light that really matters is the one from the flash. So, the easy way to see that, I turn off my trigger, and I take another exposure. Megan, look at me. And you can see, the picture is totally dark. So clearly, the only light source is my flash. So, quite like the result, you saw how easy it is. Just take a measure, move your flash where you want it. If you want more power, you can crank it up, but I didn't want to crank it up. I wanted to stay at a quarter of a power. And then, I know someone posted a question a couple of weeks ago, asking me, yeah, Tom, in your video you said it doesn't matter where you stand. You can get closer, you can move about. Your exposure is not changing when you're in manual flash mode. I don't believe it. So I'm explaining him why this is the case. It's very complicated. I'm not going to do it in video. You can go check the video where I talk about TTL versus manual mode. And I actually point to an article that I didn't write, but I just found that it was really interesting to see why it is. But just in case, let me move about and take another exposure of Megan. It's not necessarily going to be a good result with me, but I just want to make sure that you guys see that the exposure on Megan's face doesn't change. So it really doesn't change at all. So that really gives you that freedom, the manual flash. and you see the exposure, we got it, we nailed it on the first time, and that's it. So do you understand now what the flash meter is?
Thank you.
You're welcome. So guys, go for it. Get a flash meter if you're interested in doing flash photography. This is the best tool that you can get. You don't need to spend £300 or more. You can find some secondhand. This one I got it secondhand, but it's a fairly expensive one. I paid £200 a couple of years ago. You get some that are old, but they will work the same, and they will be about £50, between 50 and £100 I think you can find very easily. One thing that I've got to say before we leave is that there is a difference between the way this flash meter works and the metering system in your camera. You see, the flash meter this one will basically measure the light falling onto this flash meter. That's called the incident light. So it really falls directly there. The metering system that you have on your camera, basically it's measuring reflective light. So it's the light that came from the flash, bouncing on Megan's face, being reflected off Megan's face, and I'm measuring this. So that's why this one is much better, because it will always measure the light falling onto Megan. And as long as the light here doesn't change, then you get a perfect reading. And so that's why that I can move about, it doesn't matter. Whereas if you actually take a measurement using your camera meter system, then if you move about, then your exposure may actually change. And that wouldn't be the correct one. Also, you may be thinking, yeah, Tom, I don't need a flash meter, I've got the histogram. Well, here's what I've got to say for you. The histogram, if you want to look at the overall value, fair enough. It gives you an approximate idea as to what your exposure is. However, when you want to do portrait photography in flash, you need to be really correct with the exposure. Otherwise, you're going to spend time in post-production altering the exposure, and that's going to have an effect on the quality of your picture. And the histogram, don't forget, the histogram that you see at the back of your camera is the histogram of the JPEG, meaning that any settings that you've set up on your camera, meaning the profile, and all the setup that you have, will have an effect on that JPEG, and therefore will have an effect on the histogram. So the histogram that you've got at the back of your camera is not showing you exactly the result that you would get from the RAW. As a matter of fact, if you compare the histogram from the back of the camera and the histogram you have in Lightroom, for example, when you open your RAW file, you will see it's not the same. So I hope you found that informative. If you've got more questions, don't forget to go on my blog, tommigotphotography.com, in the blog section. If you want to know the link exactly, it's in the description. And until then, this is Tom Migot saying, if you like it, well, capture it and have fun with a flash meter. Was it clear? We good? Alright, ciao.